Welcome back. We continue our look at this year's legislative session with Republican State Representative Daniel Perez and Democratic State Senator Jason Pizzo. Let's talk about auto insurance here for a second. Danny, what can folks in Florida expect when it comes to their auto insurance and how much they pay as a result of this year's session?
Yeah, right now what's going through the House and the Senate is a mandatory BI, mandatory bodily injury, which would be a repealer of PIP that is coming through each chamber. But look, Jim, I can sum it up all in one or two sentences. The whole point of this bill is to make sure that auto rates go down. That is our goal, regardless of party line. We want to keep your dollars in your pocket that you work for, and we are obviously spending way too much on auto insurance and home insurance. This bill has to do with auto insurance, and we firmly believe that if this bill were to pass both chambers and be signed by the governor, that an overwhelming majority of Florida residents will have a decrease in auto rates, and that is our goal. No one has a magic wand to predict the future, but based on the data that we have, and in conjunction with OIR and all parties, we believe that rates will go down if mandatory BI is eventually signed by the governor.
Jason, do you agree?
Not in the outcome. I think when this gets priced out over the next few weeks and it results that rates may actually go up, I think the governor vetoes this bill. I think we're close to midway through 2021, and I don't think it matters how we vote on this. I get the intention. 26% of Florida motorists are not insured, 400,000 plus in Miami-Dade County alone. But I think when the pricing on this comes out, I think it's going to show an increase in rates. I think the governor is going to veto it and run with it. It's going to be vetoed.
Danny, let's turn to home. You talk about homeowners insurance as well. What can we expect? What's working its way through the final days of the session as it relates to homeowners insurance?
Yeah, we're actually going through a committee stop right now on HB 305, which has to do with homeowner rates. And look, there's some good in this bill, but there's also some bad, and that's the whole point of it going through the process here in the House. But the goal is to make sure that our homeowner rates go down. And there's a lot of different language in this bill. There is some attorney's fees provision in this bill. There is some anti-solicitation language within this bill. It's a little bit different in the House than in the Senate. But again, Jim, the bill is not perfect. It is a work in progress. What we are trying to do is make sure that the rates will go down for homeowners insurance. I will tell you this, it is the #1 issue in my district is homeowner rates for insurance. It is astronomical.
I think I was the only Democrat that voted yes on the bill in the Senate. I've seen an explosion of homeowners insurance rates for the 15 cities that I represent, and without qualification, without explanation, other than we need to price it at this point in order to make sense. Now, we also heard that it's going to take 18 to 24 months, though, for people to realize a reduction in premiums. So we'll see where it goes. It's something obviously to revisit if it explodes. But yeah, I actually voted yes on it. It does shorten the amount of time that you can actually file a claim. And it does, the Senate bill makes a bifurcation between getting cash value or full replacement value of your roof. But yeah, I have a bunch of angry plaintiffs' attorneys that called and emailed me saying, why did I vote on the bill? And quite honestly, I serve my constituents and what their home insurance premiums are, and not necessarily, trial attorneys.
The cruise ship bill that has been working its way, I think it's passing, with regard to overruling the will of the people in Key West, who voted overwhelmingly on 3 ballot measures to limit the size of cruise ships. Again, they weren't banning cruise ships. Danny, I thought Republicans liked keeping government small and local, and if the folks in Key West want to pass a bill like this, and an ordinance like this or a law like this, why should Tallahassee overrule them?
You really talk to people from the Keys, they understand that the bread and butter is tourism in the Keys. Forget about the state of Florida for a second. In the Keys, the cruise ships are critical for the Keys, critical. And what they've done is we've had these wealthy individuals from the north come down to the Keys and say, and this is what no one's talking about, Jim, which blows my mind. They said, wait, we're going to put this subjective number, this subjective threshold of 1,500. You know what 1,500 does? It takes out Carnival Cruise Lines, it takes out Royal Caribbean, the most affordable cruise lines with mostly minority passengers. No one's talking about that. People are still going to be able to go on a cruise ship, but you know who's going to go down there? The ones that are on 1,000 passenger boats, and those are the wealthy. Those are people that can afford a 500 person cruise. The less wealthy aren't able to go on a private cruise to the Keys. They use what they can afford, which is what my family went on: Carnival, Royal Caribbean, those are going to be gone because the wealthy have come down and completely manipulated the community. They've manipulated them.
Danny, I'm amazed. I feel you're almost trying to make me feel bad for the billion-dollar corporations like Carnival and Royal Caribbean and the others. I mean, my God, how could they ever compete against some mysterious wealthy Northerners?
The local town mothers and fathers weigh the direct economic benefit to Key West in relation to sometimes an overwhelming, presence of individuals that are not exactly spending money. It is completely news to me, and I'm now intrigued and very curious. I don't know if they track the demographics, but basically what Representative Perez is saying is the overwhelming majority of each passenger manifest on a cruise ship is a minority. Then it looks like they may have a civil rights issue. But I look at it as a local home rule decision they made. And I assure you that if they were spending money hand over fist, then it had a greater direct economic impact to the community that inured to their benefit, they probably would not have voted no.
I'll end with this. Well, I know we're just short on time, but I have to end with this because it affects upwards of 800,000 to 1 million Floridians. Why again did we not expand Medicaid in the state of Florida, especially after the bill that passed, the $1.9 trillion bill that passed Congress just a few weeks ago, has even more money offered to states such as Florida to entice them to join in and cover individuals with health insurance, especially during a pandemic. I'm going to put this to you, Representative Perez. Why are we not expanding Medicaid coverage like other Republican states like Idaho and others are in the process of doing?
Yeah, I guess the term Medicaid expansion has just become so loose. And here's why I say that. Yesterday, off the Florida House, we voted a bill that expands healthcare coverage for Medicaid recipients to women that are pregnant. Today, it stands at 2 months. Okay. In the Florida House, we have voted to now expand that to close to a year, which is hundreds of millions of dollars that we are going to be putting in healthcare coverage to women that have just given birth and extending that by almost a year. And I'm sure Senator Pizzo agrees with that extended healthcare coverage. But over in the Senate, not that he is in favor of this, but in the Senate, that was not their initial position. So I would tell you that in the House, we understand where people are coming from in the vulnerable position that they've been in with the lack of healthcare coverage, and we've actually done something about it.
Do you have a sense for how many people are covered by that expansion in terms of the number that you're talking about?
I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I can tell you it's every woman that has given birth that is a Medicaid recipient. Every single one of them will now have an extension of almost a year on healthcare coverage for them to be able to see a physician.
But there's 800,000 people without health insurance in the state of Florida that would be covered by the expansion. Senator Pizzo, why has this issue never come up?
We leave billions of dollars of money on the table every year because we don't want to commit to a federal program. And I've pushed some of my Senate colleagues on the Republican side saying, guys, where do we have to be to start covering people? Did the pandemic not show that basically everyone's basic health care is important to everybody as a community? I think we need to see something like a block grant. I think that's the only way it gets done. It's basically earmarked dollars specifically for this. But I'm not happy in the Senate. We've actually reduced coverage for 19 and 20-year-olds. The House bill does differ a little bit, but last year showed us that we need to get off the political idea of being, dependent on the federal government when it's a 90-10 split, especially on Medicaid.
Danny, if there's one piece of legislation that you're proud of this year, what would it be?
The one legislation I'm proud of is the COVID liability bill that we've passed it to protect small businesses. But I will tell you, what I hope for is that in 5 years, we look back at this legislation and we can say at this legislature and say that we finally lowered homeowner rates and auto rates. Pizzo's right. We don't know what those policies are going to do. Our expectation is that they lower rates, but I want to be able to go home and look at my constituents and say, we did something that lowers your rates for your homeowner's insurance and your auto policies. That would be a huge win for us, but only time will tell. But we are going in this with the best intent, but we'll see where it ends up. Jason,
real quick, is there a piece of legislation that you're particularly proud of this year?
I'm particularly proud of helping to kill some bad bills. We had a union busting bill that was coming out. The House took up transgender athletes like that was a huge issue that was pending. We had a bill that was going to provide baby boxes to put babies in if you're abandoning that. I mean, these are the things that we were spending time on. Businesses won this session. I just don't know, looking back, what have we done to improve people's lives, our constituents' lives?
And if you thought the regular session was fun, wait, there'll be more. The governor has announced a special session starting on May 17th to look at the new gambling deal he struck this week with the Seminole Indian tribe. Will it mean casino gambling on Miami Beach? We'll be keeping a close tab on that. We'll be right back.